going on, you guys? Nick here with Nick Strength and Power. So now the scorecards have been released for the 2024 Arnold Classic UK. And these really reflect the battle that we saw here. So these scorecards, Hottie won with a score of 6 at prejudging and 6 at finals. Samson with a score at 9 at prejudging and 9 at finals. So to break this down a little bit, what you're looking at is the scores of 5 judges. So Hottie having a score of 6 means at least one judge had Hottie in second at prejudging, and at least one judge had Hottie in second at finals, and then also that at least one judge had Samson winning at prejudging, and at least one judge had Samson winning at finals. So this was, in fact, closer than the Arnold Classic Ohio. So if you look at the Arnold Classic Ohio scorecards, it was a score of 5-10. So 5 judges, all 5, had Hottie in first place. So if you guys don't know how this works, bodybuilding is like golf. The lower the score, the better. Your score is reflective of the placing that the judge is giving you. So if a judge has you in first and there's 5 judges, your score would be 5. And then Samson at the Arnold Classic Ohio had a score of 10. So that means all 5 judges had Samson in second at the Ohio show. Now, the real question here was, is this a matter of Samson looked that much better in UK, or that Hottie looked that much worse? Honestly, I think it's just a balance between the two. I think both things were a factor here. And the scorecards really verify both of them possibly being true, that maybe the last-minute travel, and that's what I think is so impressive about Hottie. We gave Samson a lot of props in the recap video, but you also got to give Hottie some props here too. The last-minute travel, a 10-hour flight, the stress of not knowing whether or not he was going to be able to get here, get the visa, until literally the day before the show. So the fact that Hottie still won, which, by the way, even though one judge had him in second, this is still a really good margin of victory for Hottie. And I think, again, it comes down to conditioning. Even though Samson, I think, had tightened up quite a bit at the finals, and I think he looked significantly better. Not better than Hottie, but better at the finals than he looked at prejudging, and then that he looked at the Arnold Classic Ohio. I thought he closed the gap more at finals, but it says that he got the same score at prejudging. But even so, the score was still 12-18. Hottie winning, obviously, so it's still a 6-point decision, so it's not like this was a 1-point decision, but it was closer than Ohio. And by a decent margin closer, because if you look at the Ohio scores, the final score was 20-10, so there were 10 points separating them in Ohio, and only 6 points separating them at the UK, so that's pretty significant improvement on Samson's part. But I think still a pretty decisive victory for Hottie Chupin. But I do think you got to give Samson his credit, because he did close the gap a little bit. He did improve a bit. And he did that with the factors working against him of the illness, of losing his coach. And somehow he did better here. But I think both of these guys did a fantastic job. Hottie still being able to win, still looking great here, despite the travel issues, despite the visa issues. Even if he wasn't as good as he was in Ohio, he was still good enough to win by, like I said, a pretty substantial margin here. So I don't want it to come off like I don't think Hottie looked good, because I did. I had him winning immediately after prejudging. My only point is that it was closer here, and I felt like Ohio was like a slam dunk win for Hottie, and it was. It was unanimous, a 10-point decision separating them. And I just felt like this wasn't as much of a slam dunk, and that's what we see on the scorecards. It was a lot closer. Now, the other thing that I wanted to show here on these scorecards was Akim Williams, because Akim, I feel like his new nickname needs to be Mr. Saturday Night, because he did this in Ohio. So we'll look at the Ohio really quickly here. So we talked about this already, but at prejudging in Ohio, his score was 35, so that had him in 7th. And at the finals, his score was 20, which put him in 4th. So a massive swing between prejudging and finals. Now, I do think Akim looked better here at prejudging than he looked at the prejudging for Ohio. And he looked better here at finals, I think, than any of those showings, the prejudging finals or prejudging in UK. And the scorecards were reflective of that. So he had a prejudging score of 19, which was better than his final score at the Arnold Ohio, and a final score of 15, which puts him in 3rd. And I think the reason why he beat John here is because John's score changed as well, but it changed for the negative. John De La Rosa had 16 at prejudging and 20 at finals. So he had a 4-point swing in the opposite direction going into the finals, which I think is, well, that is what cost him that spot And I think if you look at the video, it came down to conditioning because John, I think, was a lot sharper at prejudging. And it's kind of a similar thing with the Arnold Ohio. I felt that John was a lot sharper at the prejudging of both these shows. But I really am genuinely impressed with what Akim's been able to do here in the improvements that he's been able to make. I think he looked a lot better, and the scorecards reflect that, at both prejudging and finals of this show than he looked in Ohio. And it's also worth mentioning that his final placing in Ohio was 6th, so he moved up 3 placings here. So overall, I think this was a really good show. I think this is huge for Hadi to win 2 Arnold Classics back-to-back, both being his first Arnold Classic Ohio title ever, his first Arnold Classic UK title ever. And now he has the rest of the year to shut it down and focus on the Olympia, which I think he's made a pretty strong case for himself that he can come back and potentially reclaim his title. And I have a feeling we haven't seen the last of Samson. I have a feeling we haven't seen the last of Akim. Even though Samson said he's going to shut it down for a while and try to find a new coach and take a little bit of a break, I could still see him maybe doing a show before the Olympia as we get closer to the Olympia to maybe just go into the Olympia off of a victory. And we've got all these shows coming up now that I think maybe Akim, well, we know Raphael's doing the Arnold Classic South America. I think we could see Akim do the Detroit or the New York Pro. I'm sure we'll see John De La Rosa probably do one of those shows. But I'm curious to hear what you guys think in the comments below. I really do feel like we might have seen, at the finals of this Arnold Classic UK, I think we might have seen the best version that we've ever seen of Samson. I think he looked really good. It's just a matter of what we've been saying for months and really years now. He's really got to dial his conditioning to the next level, and I think that's what he's going to try to do when he finds a new coach. But that's what this keeps coming down to with these runner-up positions to Hadi at the Olympia and now both Arnold Classics. He's finished behind Hadi, and I think the reason at the end of the day just comes down to conditioning. Hadi throughout, especially the upper body, especially like the chest and the abs, that deep separation, those deep striations that Hadi has, Samson just doesn't have. He's got a crazy big chest, but if you look at it, even though I feel like Hadi was a little bit off here, like the striations in the chest just aren't even comparable. Samson doesn't have those deep striations in the chest. And while Samson's midsection is great from the standpoint of, for his size, he's got a really small midsection. He can hit a vacuum pose. He's got a great taper. He doesn't have those really deep chiseled abs like Hadi has here. And he doesn't have those, deep obliques or the serratus or the intercostal definition that Hadi has. There's just a difference between the two. And once Samson overcomes that, I think he's gonna cross that gap a little bit more. And on paper, this is the best Samson that we've ever seen against Hadi because this is the closest he's been to Hadi ever in terms of his score. If you go back to the 2023 Olympia scorecards, Hadi had straight votes for third at both prejudging and finals for a final score of 18 to Samson's 28. So they were also separated by 10 points at that Olympia, and they were separated by 10 points at the last Arnold Classic. But here, only being separated by 6 is a big improvement for Samson, and this is the closest he's came to really rivaling his shape and size with Hadi's level of conditioning. So I think there's definitely something to be said for that. And I've seen a lot of people commenting that they think this is the best Samson they've ever seen. And that could be true because the scorecards kind of reflect that. This is the closest he's ever came to Hadi with his final score, 6 points. And I'll let you guys decide in the comments below if you think it was a matter of Hadi being off or if you think Samson was just that much better or just that good that led to that closing of the gap. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Like the video, subscribe to the channel, click the bell notification icon, all that good stuff. And as always, I love you guys, appreciate you guys. Nick Strength and Power, signing out. All right, guys, don't forget to click that like button and subscribe to this channel if you enjoy the content. Also, check out my Instagram at NICKS&P. My Facebook page, which is simply Nick Strength and Power. My secondary YouTube channel, Nick Strength and Vlogs, for vlogs and bonus content that you will not see on this channel. And consider subscribing to my third YouTube channel, Nick Strength and Pokemon, which is all things Pokemon and trading card games, completely unrelated to this channel. So if you're into that, give that one a look. And all links to merchandise and social media will be in the description box below. If you guys want a Nick Strength and Power t-shirt, that will be in the Shopify link below. Have a great day.